All right, Dennis, our big tech product manager. This is the one you guys wanted. Let's talk about it, man. How did you transition from Uber driver to 300K big tech PM? Dude, bro, like, I mean,
People aren't going to believe it.
like, why were you driving? I mean, tell us a little bit about your background, how you started driving Uber.
Yeah, so this is something I've never put out there before. Obviously, never said it in any other uh, interviews, but I think it's really important because some people are probably in the same situation that I was in. Yeah, I was at a point where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at the time. I had a few businesses that I started myself. I just wasn't sure where I was going with this. And then I kind of needed some cash at the time. So I figured let's just keep the whole self-employment going and started doing some driving for Uber. It was interesting because I would not just look, wouldn't just flip it on and go drive. I had like a strategy every time I drove. I knew what all the hotspots were. I knew how to make and maximize the most amount of money. So, I mean, I knew how I could make a certain amount every single day. I knew how to make the most and get the most profit out of my rides. So that's kind of how I approached it. And um, yeah, that was kind of my humble beginnings.
Got it. Got it. What kind of got you turned like what kind of got you like pumped up about like being a product manager or going from there?
So I originally, slightly before that, I enrolled in like a coding boot camp, and I enjoyed it, but I think I really enjoyed the process of learning how to like actually shaping a product more than actually coding one, and that's what turned me on to PM. I didn't know what it was at the time, so it was still vague, and that's why I went into Uber driving. And then kind of as I was approaching Uber, I just thought to myself like, you know what, I want to try to give this thing a shot. And there was nothing really backing it up. I didn't have experience. There was a lot I was lacking, but I thought, you know what, I can at least try. And since I did kind of approach Uber in the way a PM would kind of approach a product, I felt, yeah, there's nothing to lose here.
Got it. So what would you attribute are like the big um what would you contribute as like, the top things, I don't know, maybe like three, five. I don't know if you have a list, but what would you
Yeah,
say are like the key ingredients of making that transition into like a big tech product manager role? If you like list tell me what those three are and like how would you rank them?
I think if I were to come up with a three, I think given this market, I think we have like I would start with an AI certification and portfolio, and I'll explain all these after. Second would be building and working with a community on this and not going at it alone. And then third would be really focusing on more quantity, so quantity of applications and also like LinkedIn outreach and messaging. And if I were to rank these in order, I think I would pick I start with community, so I'll explain that and what I mean by that. So, for example, I tried doing this myself and I did fail miserably. I, I gave it a great, I think I gave it a good shot, but my problem was I didn't know how to build my resume. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't really know where I was going wrong. And having that community behind me really helped me with positive reinforcement, helped me refine my interviews, refine my process, and just gave me the motivation to keep going. Then the second thing was really just focusing on increased applications and LinkedIn messaging. So I knew the higher amount of applications I did, the better my odds were because I was getting better in each interview, understanding the process more, and my odds of succeeding and going into the next round were increasing with every passing interview. And the third one, I'll touch on the really like building this AI portfolio. I think it's been really important because and getting the certificate from Product Gym. It's been really important in building like AI SQL, AI like chatbots, and some other automation skills in AI. Really helped me master the art of storytelling, which is also really important to the PM role, and really teaching me how to like sell like from a visual perspective. And I just think those are really three unique ingredients that people maybe overlook in the market today. I think they focus on, oh, I'm just going to network and make it in. And unfortunately, that's a little easier said than done today.
Yeah. I think like it like I think what people need to really understand in the current job market is that not just product managers, but software engineers, product marketing people, UX designers, everybody really has to learn how to sell themselves. And this is actually why, like, I guess you can call like our sister camp now, Elevate, being in tech sales is like we're really showing product managers how to take a sales approach into selling because the decision in the world of sales, we call this thing high ticket sales. And high ticket sales is basically this. Anytime you are making a transaction happen where behind that transaction, there's effort. Like when you're deciding to go out there and buy solar panels, there's no effort. When you are buying a car, you just got to drive off the lot. And then, like, granted, you can go out there and make the payments, right? Like when you're doing, if you're going to go out there and buy, like, I don't know, 10 workout training sessions at Equinox, okay, once the money is handed over, the work really begins. And that's what hiring is right now is, okay, I have all this work that I have to do, and I don't have enough time to do my work. So I want to go ahead and ensure that I'm spending the least amount of time training you. Like I want somebody that's just like on the go. The truth of the matter is they're still going to have to train you up, but it's your job to convince them that it's going to be less time, less energy, less effort. And the reward of hiring you is greater than the reward of hiring anybody and everybody else that you're competing with. And the best way to go out there and do that is actually through visual selling. But let's go ahead and talk about you ranked community number one as with all the other testimonials that we have. Why would you say community is like important?
I think community, first of all, you're not in it alone. I think that's kind of what we've all known as being a community, whether it's being in a Discord community, whether being in a class. And it does really help with motivation. And not only that, but you're learning from other people as you go along. So we're not just if we had 10 interviews, if I had 10 interviews and I'm in a community with, I don't know, 100 other or even 50 other people who had a few interviews each, now we just expanded our scope to what, over 100 plus interviews which we can now learn from, take feedback from, and iterate together. That's what I found it the strongest. And it's really taking that, being confident that we can achieve this together. And what I've seen as a result is success has been coming in pairs. So I've seen one person get an offer, and then the offers kind of just multiplied like dominoes. And we've seen this time and time again, especially when I joined and even before so.
Got it. And like I think that's like probably like the most important thing is just getting that positive reinforcement because if you're not getting the human condition is structured so that it's like if you're not getting results and you're not seeing anybody else get results, that's when the really anxiety like force multiplies. And that's when you're like ready to go out there and punch a wall and start
And
like
then
committing some degree of like violence, right?
And then we've seen the interview quality decline after that. So like there are people I've been working with who at first they took on this on alone and they're like, why am I not converting? And they have one bad interview and then they go end up in a spiral, a negative cycle, and then they don't believe in themselves. And then unfortunately the people who do have this community and have this positivity, they're the ones essentially getting the offers. And the other person who might be a better fit or a better quality candidate, they're just unfortunately stuck in this cycle. And that's why I think community's been so important to help bring you out of that and bring you into, this is how we're going to come together and get this job.
It is actually talked about like in like an Anthony Robbins like video that I remember watching. He said that he presented so much scientific evidence and like Joe Dispenza and then Huberman also talked about it. But their grit score has been ranked really low in America, like year after year, where in terms of people have resistance. And they talk a lot about the problem, but like telling people that doesn't really give them a solution. How, like, okay, so my grit's lower. Like, I don't know, should I just go volunteer at the homeless shelter for a day, like to get some
Mhm.
gratitude? Like, I don't know, right? But the scientific evidence basically shows that like your brain is wired biologically to go ahead and protect itself and conserve resources, and it's always going to be like trying to protect itself from getting like protecting you from getting murdered, right? And it gets to the point where you get so disappointed so many times that you just like you cannot sustain being disappointed anymore. So any type of hope that's just like, okay, any type of hope that you have, any type of like visual evidence, right, where it's just like in front of your face, it's like very different. Huberman talked about it because I love studying this. I geek out on this stuff where it's just like, how do we know if we did X, Y, and Z, we're going to get these results, but like mentally, it's basically you versus you out there. Like, why isn't people getting that? And Huberman's like, if you go to like a like listening to a music show live versus like doing this like in person, like just listening to it on a YouTube, right, is like not the same experience. And I've gone to funny enough, tons of like these shows, these little like one-off shows, like in Brooklyn. And I can tell you, I will never listen to that particular genre of music, but the energy of it, like there, is like different than like doing it some like watching it on a YouTube, and overall like having that positive reinforcement is like pretty important.
I
Uh,
can even turn positive reinforcement into the Uber driving. So I actually, like I said, I kind of got it down to a science. And then at a point, I had regulars who would just message me and say, "Oh, hey, I need to be picked up at a certain time." And that kind of gave me positive reinforcement of, hey, I might actually have the right soft skills for this role as well, not just like the hard skills, but the soft skills. And just hearing people who would be in the car who were already successful, just talking about their roles and then telling me I could definitely do it, that was actually really positive and something that's completely overlooked. I would just talk to them like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And some of them even offered me jobs, to be honest. So I thought that was a really strong indicator that I was one heading in the right direction. And I even had backing, even if people weren't doing the PM interview with me, I still had backing from people that I was working with.
100%, man. 100%, yo. Like,
But it also takes grit and resilience. Like most people, may see Uber driving as a dead end. I saw it as a way to also build connections and really get out there and practice some of these like soft skills as well. And I think the low point was just seeing how little you make from this and seeing how successful everyone it was in my car. And I was like, I want to be them. And I knew that most people don't really have that drive to get out of that. Um, profession, if you want to call it that. And I was like, I'm going to be the person that does that. And I mean, I have no qualifications, but I'm going to make it happen.
100%,
I,
yo.
I mean, I did.
100%.
What do we say? We say resilience, persistence, and grit. That's that's the name of the game.
Dude, okay. And then talk to me about like the applications and like the LinkedIn messaging after that.
So I've been through this several times already. Since I recently landed the big tech PM role, so I've been through the interview process like three times, application process three times. The first few times, no, the first few times it was about 1,000 applications each. This time around it was about 1,500 applications just because of the extra competitive nature of the industry. 100 plus interviews, which people find crazy. But also this time adding on another channel, which was LinkedIn messaging and trying to find and follow up directly with hiring managers and recruiters. And not just messaging them and saying, "Oh, hey, I applied," but actually like taking the time to send a thoughtful message and stand out. That got me interviews at other big tech companies. I got to skip the line. There were some I didn't even apply to. And then after the interview process, they're like, "Oh, just, can you just formally apply?" And I mean, these are some of the biggest names in tech right now that I was able to just get interviews for. So I think just having that persistence as well, because this is not easy. This is not going to just come to you. People don't just give away 2, 3, 400K jobs. Like you really do need to work for it.
People don't give away 40K jobs anymore either. So
True. We're very true.
They don't give away 40K jobs anymore
Don't,
either.
they
So
don't.
not in this economy. So okay, so I think like also the the things that people procrastinate on the most is actually like what they should be doing the most, right? Like you should be taking your time to go out there and craft like high quality messages, and a lot of people just refuse to go out there and do it. And I think it just goes back to that reinforcement. It's just like if I did all this shit and it didn't work out for me, like it would be such a freaking tragedy.
Yeah.
That yeah.
I was gonna say, I want to say one thing. People ask me the same questions every week, maybe like in certain different forms, and I know you've seen it. People ask me the same damn questions every week. They're so concerned about the future too. Like, oh, what do I do in the final round? I'm like, so what round are you on? Round one. So why are you worrying about the final round? And maybe you could try, maybe you can explain to people maybe why I hear the same question every single day. Like, what is it that what is the mindset of someone that continues to ask the same stuff? But not action on it.
100%, man. 100%. Okay, let's go out there and talk about like the AI portfolio and the certification. How did the certification and the like the AI portfolio help you out?
Yeah, certification, got it through Product Gym. I think initially it was, I mean, look, it's a competitive landscape right now. And when I can at least prove that I have some confidence in AI, it does show that I do have a bit of an advantage, especially working in like some different industries. Like fintech is now like focusing more on AI. Other companies are just focusing on AI PMs. And I actually started getting interviews and outreach specifically from AI PM roles. So I think it just helped me stand out because most people are posting like the Scrum Master certification and not necessarily an AI certification. And then when they see an actual portfolio of things that I built for clients, they do know that, hey, okay, this person knows a bit about AI and how to turn it into and weave it into product. And that puts you categories above other people.
I think that's like the thing that like goes back to the high ticket sales of like what product managers just don't seem to understand right now is like when you're on a Zoom call, right? Like it's so much more impactful if you're showing them something versus like I'm taking your word for it because so many people's already
Yeah.
gotten burned. uh like when people schedule a call with Product Gym, we show them Thinkific, we show them the curriculum, we show them the resume, we show them Circle, we show them the offers, we show them the interviews. So they're going into this getting a very in-depth look versus like other programs that they're calling. It's just like I'm buying your face, but like I can't, you know, take a screenshot of it and like get a job with it, right? And you have something called in the world of like I think high ticket sales is called a trust recession right now. So companies have are very skeptical whether or not you can go out there and you can go out there and actually deliver for them. The best way for you to stand out is show them more stuff that you have to work with. And this is actually where product managers get it really effing wrong. Is like, well, I don't have anything to show them. And it's just like, I challenge you in the next 48 hours to comb through your iPhone, your text message, your emails, for your work and for your personal. And then within like 24, 48 hours, they actually have a lot more stuff. That's why like I always tell you guys, some of you guys do it, some of you guys don't. Every week or every single month, make a list of shit that you guys have accomplished on the job and keep adding it to your Google Doc for your resume, right? And
Every
right,
everyone should be doing this weekly.
right. So everybody should do that weekly because when you're on, as much of a data-driven field as product managers are, when you're on, when you're on a freaking like a performance review or like an annual review or like a quarterly review, and they're like, yeah, so like, why do you think you deserve, like, you have a stack of shit, right? Versus like somebody's like, you don't even know. I mean, they know you've been working, but like when you actually list it out,
Yeah,
and I tell my team to go out there and do the same thing too internally, like list out all the shit you've been doing. And I tell them it's not like for micromanagement, but I also tell them too, like if you were to go out there, get another job, somebody gives you like an interview or like you're trying to negotiate for your raise, like you have this stack of what is it that you've been working on. So nobody could ever say that you weren't working on this. Like they know
very
you've
true.
been working, but it's very different when you have those bullets listed out. And that's kind of been a problem where I see the entitlement in your peer group is, like I work right now in addition to product management, tech sales, cybersecurity, and also QA. The entitlement that exists in the product management world is outlier compared
Yeah,
to every other demographic out there. So it is not a surprise that an Uber driver is going to go out there and completely swipe these other people away because so
yeah,
many product managers come in there with this, and it comes back to just being disappointed. I think like not to rub dub on like product managers too much, but I think product managers they come from this very analytical background and they come from this very struct and it attracts a certain type of like crowd, right? And especially the people that didn't have to transition into product management that went straight into product management from school, they're not really like used to the grind, which is like, I was recruited from Amazon a month before I graduated my MBA program, and all of a sudden right now it's like that shit doesn't really matter, and they actually have to like they number one don't know it, and they had all this previous experience of like this is how I get this GMAT score. This is how like I had all this example like there was just such this clear path to navigating that next level, next level, next level, and then now all of a sudden it's like effort is not rewarded unless it's exponential. It's like it really hurts them. Um,
yeah. I remember how we had I know I had that the one client where I built I basically automated her whole business, a celebrity makeup artist. Uh $8,000 contract, and her entire business got automated. And I was able to put that on the portfolio and stand out from, like you said, the person who went through the traditional MBA path. Like, sure, you went to school, that's great, but I had something to physically show. And this was everything from CRM, automating appointments, booking, inventory. So, yeah, really important stuff.
People want to like skip out on it, but like I think the longer that they procrastinate, like you can spend. This is why I always say this thing like the talent in America is triple SL, which is like they're too smart, they're too slow, they're too scared, and then they're too lazy about it. The first things first is like they like product managers I feel like over analyze everything, and this is where coming I think from an Uber driver background is like really nice because it's like they're analyzing all this, they're spending the next 5 days as if they're preparing a pitch deck working at a VC or a hedge fund, and it's like that's not what you're doing here, bro. And somebody else is getting like they're getting 500 applications done. What the next 5 days, research is not output. Reading is not output. Manifesting is not output. So while somebody's getting 500 applications out, they're out there analyzing the situation, right? Too slow. So then they want to know how they're like how to go ahead and do it the best way possible. And you were notorious for like bagging in like 25 product manager interviews like a week. Like the thing that I learned working at a Starbucks when I was in high school is the more you do something repetitive, the you will figure it out. and I learned that shit working. I learned that like folding clothes at my parents' clothing factory growing up is okay. You fold 900 sweaters, you're gonna start figuring out how to fold. And the people that luckily came from a better background that never had to do that kind of shit will never understand that shit of like, I do something really repetitive over and over again. I start it and like instead of like I recorded, I remember one night 108 YouTube shorts. And I learned so much more just recording 108 YouTube shorts versus spending the next 3 hours researching what was the best way to record YouTube shorts. Because
Yeah,
when
we
you
could actually tie the Uber driving into this too. Like I just got on the road, started driving, then I realized, okay, you know what? I spent like, I drove like 30 miles to make not much money, and then I'm sitting for like an hour, like, we're wasting money and money here. And then I just started figuring out over time how to optimize these routes, how to get the best customers, and then I became one of the top drivers in the area. And it really goes to show like I was not just sitting around driving aimlessly, but we are like, this is PM 101, just learning and iterating as we go. And then I actually taught a few friends how to do it too. They wanted to make some extra money in the weekend. I told them where to sit, how to make the most amount of money, how to get the surge prices, and they were able to repeat my success as well.
did you ever honestly like I saw this one video where somebody talked about like how they got an Uber product manager job was they drove an Uber and a Lyft for a little bit, and they kind of like learned the inside outs of like the app, and that was like the side project that they presented, and like that was the case study, right?
Yeah.
And the hilarious thing was like even though they had laid out this whole blueprint, most product managers are like, I can't freaking drive an Uber, man. But they would get like, every like even till now, the most popular like Uber case study is like how would you build a financial product for Uber driver in Brazil or Brazil, right? Or like they'll list some random foreign country and people are thinking like why Brazil or like why Australia or like why Indonesia and all that kind of shit, right? And it's just like the blueprint of like if you really wanted to go ahead and get a job there was just that simple. Um, in LA, there's a company that's like legendary called Riot Games, and they built games like they built honestly, I think some of the best like interactive computer games and League of Legends, and so many people want to work and they see like how cool it is, like they have like this really cool office and they have like it's actually mandatory for you to compete in play one game with your coworkers like every single day with coworkers that you never thought like you would never interact with. Like somebody takes somebody from project management and they would go out there and be playing around against like a social media intern, right? Like there's no overlap there really in like workflow. And part of the interview is like who is your favorite character in the game that you play. And so many people in LA, I remember when I was working as a recruiter, wanted to work there but never play the game. They're like, why not? It's free. If you have a Wi-Fi connection, that's all you have to do, right? So I think the effort there is like big. um so like any like thoughts or like final words of advice for people that want to go ahead and get in on this? Would you recommend Product Gym to anybody?
I mean, it's really what helped me initially get that confidence, build a community, and get to where I am today. So, I mean, from Uber driver making, I don't know, 15K a year to, uh, making 300K in big tech.
Let's get
I don't think words, and look, it's not gonna, like you said, it doesn't just happen on its own. You have to put in the effort as well. So if but once you do join, you get that community. That is really what helped build the motivation to keep going. And that's how I got my first like big PM role break was through community, learning from each other. Saw someone else do it, saw someone else do it, saw someone else do it, and then it was eventually my turn.
let's get it, dude. Let's get it. We're so proud of you here back at PG. Love all the work that you're doing with the community. Like it definitely helps out the team. We'll keep in touch and we'll talk to you real soon.
All right, bye.